everybody, it's Big Red, and today we have a very special cool thing for all you Trekkies and Star Trek fans. We have the blueprints for the USS Enterprise. Let's take a look. All right, BoLS fans, it's Big Red. I'm here with Stable Abe. What's going on, Abe?
Hi.
And we are ready to dive in. We have something very special for you today. This is, once upon a time, way back in the time of the Thunder Lizards of gaming, there was a company called FASA. Maybe you've heard of them. They did such minor, unimportant games as BattleTech and a whole bunch of other things that they're really famous for back before they exploded into many legal shards that still are scattered throughout the planet.
Right.
Back in the day. But they also had, they were the big people who had the Star Trek license, and they had a Star Trek role-playing game. And this was way back. So what we have here is that Star Trek role-playing game had all kinds of really cool, exciting things. This is from way back. This is from, today we are looking at the full blueprints for all you Trekkies out there of the USS Enterprise. That is NCC 1701, a Constitution-class cruiser from the original series. These blueprints are from the FASA role-playing game, and these are copyright 1983. We're going way back. So this is 1983. Let's see. Ronald Reagan is president.
Mario Bros. Just came out. First time Luigi was introduced.
Wow. That's and a little movie you may have heard of called Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
Just coming out, 1983. So,
Ewoks.
So you've all seen Star Trek. You've seen Kirk. You've seen Spock. You've seen McCoy. This is a really interesting set of blueprints. This is the entire ship from top to bottom. So all the things that you've ever seen from TV show and so much more. This set of blueprints is going to show you everything you wanted to know and more about how these ships are put together. We're going to start off here with our. We have 9 double-sided sheets that are going to take us through the entire ship. We have our key over here that has such exciting Starfleet things as a single bed with nightstand, double wash basins. We have lounge chairs, those weird funky desks that stick out that you remember from all the Star Trek episodes that you can totally hurt yourself on. We have those totally cool 1967 conference tables with the weird angle and the computer on the side. Normal chairs, turbo lifts, the bridge, transporters, all kinds of stuff.
And my favorite thing is,
what do you got?
About this whole thing, is that we've got 2 bath units here. You've got the small bath unit and the large bath unit. But both of those come with a jacuzzi unit. So every Star Trek bathroom had a jacuzzi in it.
That's pretty awesome. In space.
In space.
So remember that. So Federation cruising, exploring the universe in style.
Oh,
in comfort.
The most comfort.
It was the 60s, man. It was the 60s. Okay, so this is sheet A. This is the top. Obviously, this is our plan view. You see the top of the ship as we expect. We have standard Federation ship. We have our main primary saucer here. We have the secondary hull beneath it, and we have the 2 support struts to the warp engines. These little support struts that go from the secondary hull up, the running on the inside of those are the Jeffries tubes. That anytime you ever see Star Trek and there's some long skinny tube and Scotty is up in it swearing and there's sparks, that's where he is. So just so you know. All right, we're gonna flip this guy over. Okay, so each of these things will show you which deck we're on, and so you can get an idea of where in the ship we are. And then obviously some of these decks are so huge that they're cut across different sheets. So we're gonna start on this one of 9. Side B, we have this is the back quadrant. This is the main deck, D7. This is the back of one of the big, huge. You can kind of see this would extend a substantial side around of the main saucer. This one is mostly bedrooms. This looks like normal crew quarters. Abe, what do we got over here?
Yeah,
we got
these are normal crew quarters.
We got double beds. No, this is the Federation. They're all double bed. Like, this is as cramped as it gets.
Generally all of the crew quarters are going to have a double bed, 2 wardrobes. So you're going to have 2 people sharing a room, and then there are 2 of those with their own little living room, and then 2 of those units are going to share a bathroom.
That's true. So it's kind of like a dorm.
Yeah, and then you've got a lot of conference rooms.
Right. Every now and then you get a little group area. Also, note that when you're in the Federation fleet, everyone gets I'm in the Federation bedspread on all your Federation. So you'll know when you go. Okay, right. I'm in the Federation. I sleep in the bed with there. Over here, D23. This is the very bottom. This is not the very bottom. It's towards the bottom of the secondary hull, which is where tend to be less important things. So we're seeing this is mostly cargo bays, raw material storage, cargo transporters, just kind of bulk stuff. D24, we are on the bottom of the ship now. This is the lowest deck of the bottom of the secondary hull, and all we have down here is just big empty cargo rooms. There's the turbo elevator that goes all the way down the bottom of the ship, and we have the main tractor beam. So the tractor beam points down
Is
on the
this
bottom
what
of
we
the secondary
see
hull.
in the movie Generations when Kirk gets sucked into the warp stream thing? Isn't he like on the bottom of the ship?
I don't remember.
I think he's down
Sure,
there.
ask me about like that movie. Great. Good job. Also, just big picture wise, so as we go to, let's flip, so we're done with sheet A, we'll put that over here. We're going to, here's the big fancy one. So just in case all you guys didn't know, this is the really cool plan view of the ship. So it is a Federation ship. That means that like most of the ones from this era of Star Trek, you're going to have the primary saucer up here in the front. You can see we have the bridge, and then you go all the way down with the multiple decks. And then you have the secondary hull, which is all the way down here. And the big thing is that the, although you never saw it in the original series, they did do it, the other saucer type ships like the Galaxy class and in Generations, the reason that the Federation ships are supposedly built this way is that the saucer can detach. So you have mostly crew quarters, and of course all the officers and the important people, they're all up here, and the impulse drive units are back here. So in an emergency, the saucer can detach and fly away at sublight speeds and be rescued, whereas all of the rest of it can be, so it's basically one huge giant lifeboat. There we go. So we have it from the side, from the front, same thing, saucer, the bridge is up here, you have your secondary hull with the sensor dish, and then this is it from the back. So you can see there's the impulse engines on the back of the saucer, and then on the back of the secondary hull is the shuttle bay down the bottom. Right. And then of course the struts. So there we go. There's that guy. Let's flip this dude over. Okay, here we go. So now we are on deck D5. So this is on the top. This is towards the top of the primary saucer. So it is a circular deck. It's not it's not the largest ones. It's not at the widest part of the saucer, but it's towards the top. And this is officers' quarters. Right. So I'll let Abe talk a little bit about all of the what it's like to be an officer in Starfleet.
Well, one of the things that's really interesting to notice when you look at these Enterprise blueprints, just in general, is that the ship is designed with lots of open spaces, and it's designed very much with 5-year missions, long-term space exploration, and long-term space travel in it. So you're going to get a lot of recreation, a lot of open spaces. So you notice here that the corridors are really big, really open. You've got big open lounge spaces scattered throughout the ship, and then when you actually go into the officers' rooms, you're going to see basically most of the officers are going to have their own individual room with their bed, their own individual little office or sitting room, and then sometimes a shared bathroom, sometimes an individual bathroom, but they've got the large bath units with the jacuzzi in it.
So these are basically individual suites.
These are basically individual suites. You've only got one toilet instead of 2 toilets like you have in the Enlisted.
So you get your own quarters, but you do still share a bathroom.
And
these are basically like these are minor officers.
Minor officers.
These aren't like the command.
Right. It's not really clear exactly where the command would stay in these, though you do also have some doubled up rooms here, and these I'm thinking are probably for married officers.
That's true.
Because this is a long-term assignment. That would explain to me why you might have a doubled up room.
Sure.
Or possibly it's even.
And there are episodes in the original series where they did have some people who were married. So, so Starfleet allows married officers.
Yeah. And obviously you had you had families in next generations and stuff. Yeah. So that's clearly a design philosophy that Star Trek is willing to go with.
Right.
But that's what you got here. Then on the outside, you've got a lot of extra storage.
And emergency batteries.
But you've kind of got some ablative armor out here. So if there are breaches, it's not into crew quarters or areas like that.
And you get all these emergency batteries in storage because remember, the saucer is designed to leave. So in an emergency situation, it has to have a certain amount, it has to be self-sufficient. They can't keep all the cargo areas and food and stuff in the secondary hull. The saucer has to be able to survive on its own. I
like how they have the emergency gas storage because apparently a lot of the machinery on the Federation ship still ran on gas.
It's like a kitchen. Yes, everything's better with gas. Everything tastes better with gas. They know that. All right, so that is, okay, we're done with that guy. We're moving on to sheet 3, and this guy, now we're on one of our really large decks. So this is a deck D6. This is the largest deck. This is the largest circumference of the saucer. As you can say, this is only, imagine basically this whole thing flipped over to the other side and then those 2 little kind of mini ones. So this is an incredibly large deck.
Right.
And this is primary crew quarters. So not officers, and So this is it. When you're in Starfleet, whether you're enlisted, this is your life.
Yeah. But it's still pretty nice. I mean, as we saw earlier, it's all double rooms, never more than 2 people in a room. Basically like a college dorm setup in a lot of ways, but the nice ones, because you've got, shared bathrooms between 2 setups or something. You've got a lot of little living rooms. You've got just a lot of kind of extra space, like you've got these, I don't know, private movie rooms or something, where you got just a recliner in a room by itself.
Kind of weird.
Some nice little
About
mess hall-ish area.
Yeah, this is definitely kind of just a common area rec room.
Yeah.
It's just all the tables and cafeterias and stuff are there. This is probably some of the rooms. This is about as close to kind of bunks or dorm rooms as you get in the Federation. Is you sometimes get these little blocks of like this is
Right.
like this is basically 4 people in shared living. So there's 2 and then 2 and then they have a shared because there's not doors there.
Right.
So they're kind of a shared living room, and then there's a big bathroom that you
Yeah.
all share. And that's, so 4 people. 4 people with your own separate
Yep.
living room and your separate bathroom. So they're not really roughing it.
They're
out
not
there,
really
though,
roughing it,
on
yeah.
out there on those
And then
5-year
you-
missions.
You've got a lot of miscellaneous storage, conference rooms.
Yeah, you get big conference
sitting
rooms, like this guy here.
Yeah.
This is the classic Star Trek original series conference room that appears in many episodes, and these are just kind of scattered here and there. Like there's this one, there's kind of another big rec room over here. So they're just kind of scattered around.
Right. So.
There we go. Flip this guy over. Now we are. This is a small portion of Deck D5 of officers' quarters that we saw. It's the same thing. This though is interesting. Now we're going to go down to. This is Deck D21. This is towards the bottom of secondary hull. This is underneath the shuttle bay. So we're getting down below, kind of in the lower levels of the ship, and all kinds of weird stuff on this deck. Abe, I'm just going to let you go because this deck is just from front to back has weird stuff on it.
So the back is really. I mean, this is your shuttlecraft storage, and you got your shuttlecraft elevator down here.
To take you up to the shuttle.
Right, take you up to the shuttlecraft.
So this is where they actually store them.
Yeah, so you can keep a lot of shuttlecraft. This is kind of every ship's going to have this. Over here, this is kind of, again with that long-term stuff. You've got food preparation facilities, you've got a large laundry area, and then you've got materials reclamation facilities because you've got to be self-sufficient.
Which is the shop, basically.
Right.
Metalwork.
So that's really cool there. This is a lot of just keeping the ship running. And you've got nice public bathrooms down here, by the way.
And
just use it.
up
And
in
then,
the front.
Up in the front, you've got what looks like an Olympic-sized pool with all the pool maintenance machinery. Because again, they're going to have a lot of just quality of life things on this ship, ways to work out, ways to enjoy things.
Way to keep you from going crazy and killing all your fellowship.
Exactly. So that's one of the cooler things, I think, is that they have this large pool there.
When the space voices tell you to kill, you should instead go swimming.
Yes.
There we go. All makes sense. So there we go. And moving on. All right. Sheet 4. This is deck D6. We've seen, this is the flip side of the one that we saw before. So it's the exact same thing before, except it's the same thing. This is standard crew quarters. This is D6. This is the largest deck on the saucer towards the top of it. And it's the same thing. We have our conference rooms, all of our shared double bunks, big, huge, large cafeteria rec areas.
It's also interesting to note that they have a lot of transporter tubes,
Yes.
elevators.
Yep.
Yeah, throughout
Turbo lifts.
throughout the whole ship. So I mean, it's not like you have to get off here and walk wherever you want to go. They're going to be really conveniently placed.
Yes. All right, flipping this guy over. All right, now we have some pretty interesting things. Okay, so we're on deck D8. Now we're towards the bottom of the saucer. And this is a really interesting deck. There's all kinds of weird stuff in here. So kind of a combination of quality of life, emergency things, and then just a lot of things that they have to be somewhere on the ship. So let's
They're
just
here.
find a place to put them.
Yeah.
So what do we got on this deck, Abe?
So first off, what's one of the really cool things that you may not think about on these ships, but they've got these huge, these are big transporter banks.
And those are emergency transporters.
Yeah, so if they need to evacuate the whole thing, they can do huge waves of people to get off the ship or
Right.
emergency for any kind of emergency situation.
Right, because we've seen before the standard Star Trek little transporter room that has like 6 people.
Yeah.
This is like 30 at a time.
Right. Then you've got, in the center of here, you've got your computers very centrally placed to protect them.
That's the big, right, exactly.
And actually-
we're pretty close to this deck is it's not exactly center of mass of the saucer, but it's pretty close.
But it's pretty close. And on the outside, you've also got big freshwater storage tanks. So those are going to actually be a lot of extra kind of ablative armor also. If something hits those, it's not going to do any damage.
Right, directly.
Yeah. So that's going to help protect these
the
ship's computers.
Yeah, the computer core.
Over here, you've got the food and beverage preparation facility,
Laundry.
more laundries. So you actually have at least 2 large laundry centers on the ship. Different areas.
One for the secondary hull,
and
one for the saucer.
And then we're going to have your big gymnasium for working out and everything.
Yep.
Your recreation area, which is really just a big open space.
That leads directly into
the park.
A park.
Yeah, this is the entertainment center, but it's basically a small park so that you can get your nature, your hiking, your running.
You can get your little green space vibe and not feel like you're trapped in a tin can.
Exactly. So again, 5 years on this ship, you're going to want something like that.
Very cool. As we, these are kind of minor decks. Now we're starting to, this is the base of the support strut that connects D14 dorsal that connects the saucer and the secondary hull, so the little diagonal part. And there's going to be several of these decks. They're really, really tiny, and mostly they're just a little bit of storage that is around the main turbo lift that gets you up and down between the two.
Right.
So this one, as an example, we got storage on both sides of it. The turbo elevator, and then the little tiny little area with just kind of some chairs that are in there.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of little areas of that just so you can go find some privacy or something on the ship.
Yeah, this is D15. This is the front of one of the secondary hull, and same thing. We're kind of in an extreme kind of a corner of the ship, so it's mostly just storage.
There's a lot of water storage on these ships.
There is a huge amount of water storage.
Yeah, which probably because they have jacuzzis everywhere. They're going to use a lot of water.
All those jacuzzis. Those,
exactly.
It's a lot of showers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of showers. Yeah, so when there's a big space battle,
Yeah.
and one of these Federation ships, when the Federation fleet is engaged in combat, there's just a lot of ice all over the place when these ships blow up, because they're carrying, these are just bulk freighters, basically.
In fact, the gym we just left is the only place on the whole ship they actually have showers. Everything else is bathtubs.
That's true. If you want to shower, go to the gym. Okay, so moving on, we are D6. This section here, this is the lower quadrant. This is just a corner of that big, huge, giant cruise quarters deck that we've seen. This is where it starts to get interesting over here. All of these decks, from the most famous deck that everyone knows about who watches Star Trek, the bridge, way up on the top. This is the very top. D1 is that is as high as you get. So the bridge is right up on top of the saucer, and just like you've seen in Star Trek, it looks just like that. The turbo lift lets you off there. You have the upper ring with all the support officers, engineering, science, weapons officer, everything. And then you step down into the command pit where you have the captain's chair, navigator, and Mr. Sulu, Mr. Chekhov.
Right, and that's the view screen.
And the main view screen, and then you can actually, while you rarely see it in the show, there is basically, you can get behind it and probably have maintenance access. There's an outer ring all the way around.
What's interesting to me is that it's not pointing forward.
Yes, the whole thing is is off.
Yeah, slightly.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? So this is deck D1. We now move directly. Now we're moving directly down to D2, D3, and D4. And so when you go one floor down from the bridge, you're in sciences, and a pretty good amount of space here. We have the ion lab, the geology lab, the energy lab, chemistry lab, the biology lab. So a whole science deck.
Your public bathroom again.
And your little scientists have to use the bathroom.
Well, the bridge too.
That's true. The bridge. Wait, is there a bathroom? Oh, that's
There's
true.
no bathroom on the bridge.
That's true. That's where you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So if you ever wanted to know, if you're on the bridge and you need to go to the bathroom, you go down one deck,
Yep.
and it's right behind the elevator.
Right behind the elevator.
Nice. Then you're going down to D3, which is more science. So same thing. This is a Federation ship, so we're going to have lots of, 2 full decks of science and research. As we've seen, there's a lot of people wearing those blue shirts on the ship, so you get a lot of that. Special sciences, botany, communications, physics, cosmology, all kinds of stuff. Interestingly enough, up here, we have the photon torpedo banks. So they are on
D3.
On D3, they fire from the front, from that big kind of raised area on the saucer.
Right.
On later ships, once you move to the movies, the torpedo banks move and they're an entirely different part of the ship.
Yeah.
They're directly above the secondary hull, kind of on that strut. They fire from there. But on the original series, they fire from up top.
All right. I mean, again, this points out that these ships are not warships, not primarily warships at least.
They can fight.
Yeah, the science labs are very important. They're right next to the bridge. So they can have quick communication, run things up and down.
Right.
and
Yeah.
do lots of science stuff.
Yeah, you get a lot of science. How do we solve this mysteries in Star Trek?
Right.
Probably important to keep those things relatively close to each other. We're moving down to D4. We're starting to get into this is the lowest and largest of the decks of the kind of raised section, and we have just quarters here.
Yeah, probably.
Those are not officers' quarters because they're all doubled. So this is probably just. I mean, this could be like senior petty officers.
Senior petty officers.
This could
the
be
the bridge watch or some kind of extra watch. It might be junior science people.
That's true. Right, who have to be near, and you get a conference room in the middle.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty nice, but they are doubled up still.
Yeah.
And they've got the small jacuzzis, not the large jacuzzis.
Oh, I know, it's sad. All right, so here we go. This is the deck that I'm sure everyone was waiting for. These are all of the different decks of the support strut, which, as I said, it's a turbo lift. We're not going to go through all of them, but every last one of them is a turbo lift with some chairs behind it.
And probably, I think there's windows along there, so they can
Right.
use them as observation. Yeah.
What do we have here? This is D15. This is the very top of the secondary hull, which is
Air conditioning and more water.
lots of water.
We've also got this is kind of the top here. There's a food conveyor there too.
Right. This is the very, very kind of back edge of where the saucer hits the strut.
Right.
This little big black area here. This is the part that's the part that snaps off and separates.
Goes away. Yeah.
Goes away. All right. Got that. Here we go. Sheet 6. We are now. We're D6. This is the final quadrant that we hadn't seen of the master crew quarters. It's all the same. Fabrication. This is an interesting deck. So we're getting down towards the bottom of the secondary hull, and this kind of feeds back into that concept of the secondary hull needs to be. Sorry, not the secondary. The saucer has to be self-sufficient.
Right.
So this is the fabrication deck, and I'll let you kind of go over all the crazy stuff that's in
we've got
here.
organic fabrication, non-organic metallic fabrication, more non-organic non-metallic fabrication, and then sanitary waste recovery system. So again, you've just got to be self-sufficient and recycling everything. You've got materials reclamation, which if you remember, there was another one down on the bottom of the hole. So there's two of them again, so that each part of the ship can be self-sufficient.
And then this entire outer ring here is raw material storage. So that's just where they're keeping just all their base materials and whatever they need just to make stuff. So this is effectively like a forge. This is basically their big giant metal shop and just whatever. So if they need to make something that's not food, this is where it happens.
Right.
And break stuff down and recycle it.
Which is very important.
Which is a very important task. Right. Now we are, all of these decks, these are the upper decks of the secondary hull, and what we basically have here is we have kind of a small shrunken down version of what we see up above in the saucer. And I'll let Abe go over these three decks.
Starting over here, you've got
this is D16 medical and warp engineering.
So you've got medical research labs, doctor's office. You've got the reception and the nurse station, and then just some really nice in general medical things. Privacy rooms for whatever reasons, I guess for inspection.
But this is all basically sick bay.
Yeah, this is sick bay and then a little bit of maintenance. This is crew quarters, which is just kind of the same layout as before, but not circular. But still nice with lots of observation. Again, you can kind of see there's lots of space in there. And then we've got botany, more crew quarters, hydroponics. And again, you can kind of see the botany's got again, you could walk around here and enjoy some more green space down here.
I like the little piece of this.
Yeah.
There's kind of a...
So there's, probably a big tree or something.
Open area.
Yeah.
Because this is basically an open space onto this area here. So you get kind of a little bit of that green space. Yeah. Not nearly as fancy as we saw up in the saucer section, but it's 2 stories tall.
This is probably like where the cool kids eat dinner.
That's
kind of down there. They got the nice really view.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's probably like the nicest seat in the secondary hall.
Then you even have a library down here.
There's a library. I never even saw that.
We got their own library with its own bathroom. They're very good about putting bathrooms everywhere on these ships. But yeah, you got a little library to go hang out.
Deck D7 main deck. This is the deck this is the second of the really large decks. This is directly beneath D6, which was the huge crew deck. So this one looks like it's about 50-50 crew. This one has crew quarters on the outside, and on the inside it has all kinds of other interesting things.
So this is actually going to be, what are Visicoms?
That says Visicoms.
You know what those are?
I have no idea.
Okay, they were on a different deck, but so there's a bunch of Visicoms.
I think those are like little private comm booths.
Comm booths,
basically.
maybe, yeah.
Those are visual communications.
Probably.
That's what that
yeah.
is.
So maybe that's where you call home.
Probably.
Here
Basically phone books.
Yeah, here you've got kind of your more standard transporter rooms.
Yeah, that is absolutely the standard. Let's go to the transporter room, Scotty,
Yeah.
and they all show up. That's where they're going.
You've got your non-denominational chapel next door to there.
Pretty
because,
interesting.
again, that's important for your 5-year journey.
Yep.
And then you've got a lot of both some crew and some important things down here. So you've got the ship captain's office.
So this is not his quarters, but these are actually the captain's office.
Which is next to the chief navigator's office, and you've got your chart room in between there. You've got your dentist's office. That's very important on the 5-year journey. And then chief surgeon's lab, medical lab. So this is where
This is the real sick bay that we see in the show all the time, not the secondary sick bay that we saw earlier. This is kind of the main fancy one.
You got another computer bank, and then you've also got in here, you've got the emergency bridge.
And at this point, we are exactly center of mass on the saucer. So there's decks and decks above and below this. So this is a miniature version of the bridge, which is cool. So if there's an emergency or something crazy happens, or the entire bridge is sheared off or destroyed, the entire ship
down there.
Yeah. So you have your backup crew ready to go down there.
And I think what's really interesting is you can tell the importance they put on their med bay and these important things here, because they've got huge rings of cargo and crew holds and all these things protecting them from damage or anything. They're right in the middle. They're very well protected.
We're in the back of the shuttle decks on the secondary hull over here, D16, D17, and D18, and we have the huge the 3-story tall hangar for the actual shuttle. This is where they actually land. Those are the hangar bay doors. You can see them. And so those swing open, and these are just we have maintenance shops and backup computers, crew over here, and more crew over here. There is an observation gallery. This is kind of because the floor of the shuttle bay is here. So this is the actual floor. Actually, it might even be one down from this, but there's a whole kind of upper gantry. And the control towers. So these are the people who are these are the guys who actually man and run the shuttle bay, do it from this deck.
There's your Jeffries tubes access.
Oh, there they are. You're right. That's it. That is where. So they go all the way back to the very top of the secondary hull, and then there's the 2 Jeffries tubes, and these guys go up all the way to the main engines. Very good catch. Nice. Very nice. All right. We're taking you guys to deck 8. Some interesting things over here. This is just the other quadrant of D7 we've already seen before. D23, this is the very bottom of the secondary hull. Actually, we're 1 deck up from the bottom. This is the top of the tractor beam. D10 cargo, this is, I don't think it's the bottommost deck, but it's almost the bottommost deck of the saucer. And it's exactly what you would expect, kind of in a lower, kind of unimportant external area. So what do we got there?
Cargo, raw material.
Cargo transporters. And raw material. And then this is actually the very bottom. So D11. D11 is pretty interesting. So the very top of the bridge, the very top of the saucer is the bridge. The very bottom of the saucer is auxiliary fire control, where we have something that looks like it's a bridge, but it's not. These are the actual guys who fire the phaser banks. So the actual gunners are here. So whenever on Star Trek, someone says, "Hey, fire the phasers," and the guy goes, "Yes, sir," and he fires it, he actually just pushes a button that tells these guys, "Hey, fire the phasers," and then they actually fire the phasers. So
we got a lot of stores down there, and they've got their own little bathroom too. So again, Federation thinks of everything.
In the heat of combat, gotta go to the bathroom. Oh, there you go. You're good. We have these are the front of those 3 decks that we'd seen. Those 3 shuttle bay decks on the secondary hull. These are the fronts of those decks. We have this is going to come up later in a test, so pay attention. Just so you know, this is the security section. So I want you to look at the size of this. So on a ship, Constitution class has a crew of about 450. They're on a 5-year mission. So this is their small arms arsenal. It's right there. So that's basically where they keep all the phasers and the rifles for security. This is the security section here. So you walk in, they got a couple tables, they got a dude there, and you see that room right there? That's the brig.
One person, and he gets his own private bathroom, his own reclining chair.
And a chair.
Yep, and that's the nice chair, too.
I know, that is the nice chair. Oh, he doesn't get a jacuzzi.
He doesn't get a jacuzzi.
Oh.
He doesn't get a shower.
He doesn't get a shower.
They must take him somewhere else.
He just gets a sink and a toilet.
Yeah.
So there it is. There it is. So when you get into trouble on the USS Enterprise, right there. Oh, we already have a prisoner, so where do we put this one?
Nowhere.
Why don't we put him in the double suite?
They must space them all.
And then over here, we have, this is another interesting thing, is we have an entire, and you'll see it, this is pretty much an exact duplicate. There's an entire secondary bridge that is full size, exactly the same as the one that's on the top of the ship, surrounded by a backup set of ship's computers. So the front door, so directly behind the saucer, so the secondary hull, if there's, yet again an emergency. So this ship has 3 bridges on it.
And an auxiliary fire control.
Right. So it's definitely built for different levels of emergencies and being able to keep things running.
Yeah.
Crew entertainment for the secondary hull.
Secondary hull. So you got another swimming pool, sun deck, big recreation, another big
really
gym.
big one.
Yeah, another big gym.
These are
area,
almost certainly windows.
with locker rooms and shower rooms and everything.
Yep. And then you go down to D22, and it's the same.
More fabrication. You've got another set of emergency transporter banks here.
For all the people down below.
Yeah.
In the secondary hull, because they have to get it. If they have to get off, that's how they're doing it.
Yep.
All right. And we're on to our last sheet, and this is the other half of D7. This is the non 100% crew based deck. This is the very center of the saucer, and basically we've already seen this before.
Right.
It's just the other side of it, but it's the same thing. We have a little bit of crew on the outside, lots of storage, the emergency bridge, ship's computers, and sick bay. Sick bay wraps all the way around.
Yeah. Couple interesting things. We've got a medical research lab, a biochem lab. We do have an even larger library up here.
Okay.
And then there is a little bit bigger, slightly bigger brig actually.
Oh, there is.
For the
okay, there it is.
part.
So we have a security office there. Oh, okay, here it is.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a brig. So you
It's
have
still pretty small.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10. So we got
10.
we got 10 prisoners. We got 10 cells in the saucer, and then basically a little minor backup brig with 1 cell in the secondary.
Much nicer cell too.
I know. That's the one you want to get.
Yeah.
Like, you want to get locked up. You want to get locked up down there.
And we've got the big briefing room right next to the transporter rooms.
And there is their small arms locker, which is also near the brig, so near security. And then we're gonna flip it over. This is the last of it. Same thing. Oh, yes, I was correct.
Yeah.
There we go. So there was another 4th deck. So the shuttle bay is 4 decks tall.
Yeah.
And then there's the storage and maintenance below it. And we're gonna go ahead and put that back here. And that, my friends, is everything you ever wanted to know about how the USS Enterprise is actually put together.
Yep.
Coming to you from FOSSA from 1983. So thanks for watching. We have more of these things, and if you guys are Trekkies and love this kind of stuff, we got all kinds of other ships, and let me tell you, some of the ships we're going to be talking about next, they're not nearly as luxurious as this one. We'll talk to you guys later.
So long.